Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight, House Speaker Halson Moutry delivers a scathing assessment of Parliament operations. We've got the story. A businessman killed near his establishment. Plus, police hitting the ground in Grand Bahama.
Our News is brought to you by LLOYD.
Welcome to Our News and thank you for joining us. I'm Kyle Joaquin. Topping news tonight, House Speaker Halson Moutry has once again leveled a scathing attack on what he called the lack of independence of Parliament. Moutry called it a dinghy attached to the mothership and insisted he cannot even buy a toothpick without approval. Here's Jasmine Brown.
Some 291 years after the establishment of the Parliament of the Bahamas, which is the first arm of government, is still being pulled along by the executive branch of government like a dinghy boat hitched to the membership or the mothership.
The House Speaker gave the scathing remarks as he noted that Tuesday marked the 291st year that Bahamian Parliament has been in existence.
We have a situation where the committee system, the very heartbeat of Parliament, is designed to ensure that they do not function, and they have not functioned. 291 years later, the Parliament of the Bahamas is operating under rules that are designed to deny members of their constitutional rights as members of Parliament, particularly the members of the opposition or minority parties and independents. That cannot be right, and I cannot support it. 291 years later, we have not come to terms with the fact that ministers are accountable to the Parliament for their stewardships.
In addition to once again stressing the need for an independent Parliament, he also insisted the concept of the separation of powers is held in brazen contempt.
Staff members of Parliament are actually listed as members of the cabinet, and the secretary to the cabinet is the accounting officer of the Parliament. The Speaker cannot purchase a toothpick without the approval of the secretary to the cabinet.
Moutry also highlighted plights within his own office as he revealed that one of his staffers quit after not being paid for months.
In a democracy, power must be shared. Without the separation of power, spite, jealousy, revenge, pettiness, and all the baser inclinations or traits of men will hold sway. That is why 291 years later, on the 28th day of September, the personal assistant to the Speaker tendered her resignation after working some 6 months without pay. And our chaplain, having completed her term with this honorable chamber, has yet to be paid for her tour of duty.
Moutry also told Parliament that he has been asking for an office in the edifice of Parliament, as he said he suffers the indignity of using an office where there is no bathroom facilities and no running water. He also revealed that a police report determined that the Speaker's office is unfit and a security risk.
I'm also noticing a trend in voter apathy and a complete disrespect for politicians and the institutions of democracy. Honorable members, if this continues, our democracy will become anemic.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
The owner of a popular sporting lounge was shot and killed near his business last night, leaving family members devastated. Berthie McDermott reports.
The Village Pub Sporting Lounge was struck by tragedy last night after family members say the owner was shot and killed just outside the popular restaurant. Police Press Liaison Officer ASP Yardley Peter says police received reports of a shooting incident shortly before 10 p.m. on Balfour Avenue. When officers arrived on the scene, they found the victim lying on the sidewalk.
EMS was summoned. They examined the body and pronounced it dead. they pronounced it unresponsive. The information that we have at this time is that a male exited a business establishment and was walking east along Balfour Avenue when a dark-colored Nissan vehicle approached him. A male exited that vehicle armed with a firearm and discharged it in his direction, hitting him about the body.
Peter said it appears he was shot in the back. Family members told Our News the man is 46-year-old Roberto Lewis. Now the tragic death of the owner of the sporting lounge right behind me, not sitting well with family members. We spoke to one of his cousins, Troy Clarke, who described him as being a quiet and fun person. He's calling for the senseless killing in communities to stop.
We grew up together through Quacker Street in the East Street area. And, Roberto is just a fun-loving young man. Growing up and, even as an adult male in recent times, always had this bubbly spirit, quiet person who sometimes would give you this last out of his pocket.
Clarke described Lewis as a family-orientated man who loved his 10 children. He recalled getting the news that his cousin had been killed outside of his business.
One of our cousins, who was an attorney, former police officer, he shared it in the group. And I just blurted out. I said, no, not Berto.
Peters told reporters the victim is known to police. Back in August, police arrested the alleged proprietor of the sporting lounge after responding to reports of an unauthorized social gathering. Peters says it's a concern that the business was open, adding that police are looking into the matter.
That is a concern to us, and it's unfortunate that this incident happened as a result of the business establishment being open. That's a matter we're going to have to look into to see whether he had permission, some special permission to be open at this time.
This is the second homicide in 3 days. On Monday, 8-year-old Ednique Wallace and her mother Alicia Sawyer were killed in Nassau Village. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
More than 9 months after it was tabled in the House of Assembly, members of Parliament debated the bail amendment bill today as a part of a compendium of bills aimed at reforming the judicial system. The bill seeks to increase the jurisdiction of magistrates' courts to grant bail in certain cases. National Security Minister Marvin Dame said it was long overdue.
The new amendment seeks to increase jurisdictions of the magisterial court to grant bail in relations to offenses listed in Part D of the first schedule. The magisterial court will have the ability to grant bail for possession of prohibited weapons and ammunition as listed in Section 30 of Chapter 213 of the Firearms Act, the unlawful shorting of guns offenses noted in the third schedule, and so on.
The bail bill was tabled in the House of Assembly in December. The 2016 amendment to the Bail Act restricted the ability of judges to grant bail in offenses involving intentional libel, assault, stealing, and other previously bailable offenses. The latest amendments will make provisions for magistrates to grant bail for drug possession with intent to supply and certain firearms matters. It will also require persons on bail to register with the bail management system as part of their statutory declaration.
The new bail management system, Mr. Speaker, will have an instantaneous impact on the judicial system. Often, decisions are made every day on granting of bail. And I am proud to say that in the vast majority of cases, the right decisions are made by competent magistrates.
Two people who appeared in the magistrate's court on Monday in connection with that National Insurance Board fraud investigation in North Andros changed their pleas from not guilty to guilty today. 50-year-old Leroy Allen Poitier of Blue Hill Road admitted to being a recruiter in the ring and was placed on probation for 24 months. He must cooperate with the prosecution and was ordered to repay NIB $17,006.65 by January 30th or face 12 months in jail. 43-year-old King Joseph Roll of Malcolm Allotment also changing his plea to guilty. Roll was placed on 12 months probation in order to repay NIB $4,019.69 by October 30th, 2020, or spend 6 months in jail. The defendants were previously charged with conspiracy to commit fraud, fraud by false pretenses, money laundering, and abetment. 6 of the 16 persons charged have pleaded guilty. St. Barnabas Member of Parliament Shannon Don Cartwright became the third MP to test positive for COVID-19 after being exposed at the office of the Prime Minister last week. It was during a press conference at OPM that Cartwright says he was exposed to a member of the Bahamas Information Service team who tested positive. The MP said fortunately he has no symptoms and is in quarantine at home. Well, opposition leader Philip Davis returned to Parliament for the first time since his battle with COVID-19 and didn't waste time hitting out at the government over its fight against the virus. Davis said the Bahamas is doing the worst in the region and the government should be ashamed of the little progress made.
When the borders opened, what was the number of cases? Today is over 4,000. It was not even, you understand what I'm saying?
The opposition leader came out swinging as he blasted the government for its handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, particularly when it comes to testing and the number of cases compared to other countries in the region.
You talk about around the world, don't compare yourself around the world, right? Because insofar as around the world is concerned, we're in last place as to how we're dealing with it. I don't want to get into that, right? We're in last place. We are the worst off in the region in handling the COVID.
The reality is, Mr. Speaker, that we can look at other statistics which speaks to how well it is we are doing.
But it was a jab Davis took at Yamacraw MP Ellsworth Johnson after the opposition leader was asked to provide proof that the Bahamas is performing the worst in the region in the COVID fight. That created a heated moment between him and several MPs.
But coming back here for the first day and saying, oh, you're the worst, you're the this, you're the that. It's almost like a celebratory dance when people are losing their lives. Do better than that.
I will just ask the member, right? He ought not to get into what I call big people business. Right? He should not get.
Wait a minute now.
And when Golden Gate's MP Michael Folk sought to get in it too,
I wasn't talking to you. I talked to. Let's be my. See now, you getting big people. You getting big people because that's between me and my cousin. Me and my cousin talking now. This be my cousin. I wasn't talking to him.
The opposition leader did, however, get his point across, quoting the global COVID index on COVID-19 numbers.
And it tells you, it gives you all that statistics, listing all the countries that you could see. You see 184 countries listed, and you can see that we are 183rd. Should I repeat that? No, I'm not celebrating. Why am I going to celebrate with that? He raised the question. I was making a point, all right? And that's the fact.
But Davis didn't end without saying thank you to the many healthcare professionals who helped him make it through his battle with COVID-19, both here at home and the U.S.
These are the men and women to whom I owe my life. They have my heartfelt gratitude and deepest appreciation now and always.
More news on the way, but here's a first look at weather with meteorologist Greg Thompson. Good evening, Greg.
Thanks, Kyle. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. Outside our studios, some partly cloudy skies, temperatures in the mid-80s, currently at 84 degrees Fahrenheit, mostly fair skies. The winds are out of the southeast at around 5 knots, feels like temperature around 86 degrees Fahrenheit. On our satellite, high pressure remains in charge, but we do have a tropical wave moving across the southeast Bahamas, some showers and isolated thunderstorms with that across that area. Some of those will be moving into the northwest Bahamas later on tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come, education officials preparing for the start of the new school year. Plus, senior police on Grand Bahama hear residents' concerns. Stay tuned.
On Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Goombay Kids is a show about learning, interacting, and having fun. Goombay Kids is made for kids, by kids, right here in the Bahamas.
Sit back, here we go, it's a Goombay day.
Goombay Kids!
You're watching Our News. Welcome back. Education Minister Jeffrey LLOYD confirming in Parliament today that the 2020-2021 school year is set to begin. The first week of virtual classes is dedicated to orientation. LLOYD said this is vital for students and teachers to work out the kinks of online learning.
The ministry will employ 3 instructional models: the traditional and usual face-to-face, the virtual, which is that all instructions will be delivered online, or the hybrid, which is a combination of the face-to-face and the virtual. And while some schools in the Family Islands will go face-to-face, most schools, and therefore most students, will attend school virtually.
Schools on New Providence, Abaco, and Eleuthera will reopen for virtual learning on October 5th. Schools on all other islands, including Grand Bahama, will open for face-to-face instruction. Well, senior police officers on Grand Bahama hit the streets today for a community walkabout. Residents use it as an opportunity to voice their concerns. Here's Julian Gray.
Boots on the ground in Grand Bahama today as the top brass of the police force on that island walked about the 8 Mile Rock community, giving out masks and encouraging residents to comply with COVID-19 protocols.
You need to be responsible for your own health. You know, we can't bring you back to life. Okay, keep your mask on and stay safe.
This resident applauded the walkabout but insisted police need to do more. He's concerned about the amount of drugs in the community and said when police walk the streets, criminals flee.
Drugs? Okay. Because then you got the guys them on the blocks, they don't give a... You see? And the police them ain't doing their job well.
My charger in the room.
All they do is like riding through on the street, wasting gas. They even don't come with the car, you know, to check a bunch of guys stand up on the side of the block. They even don't do that. Walking through the area instead of riding. Okay. You know, because then what y'all doing now? Y'all scaring everybody off the street now.
Rudolph gave several suggestions on how police can improve. However, his neighbor Wilfred Douglas, who has lived in the community for more than 3 decades, said while there is a lot to do in the community, he feels those cries will fall on deaf ears.
There's a lot of concern right here, but it makes sense talking because it doesn't happen. I'm being honest with you, I tell you the truth. I just come through. I've been through a long time.
Patricia Smith didn't agree. She was talking with family members on her porch when police arrived and praised them for their work in the community.
The presence of the police is known, so you kind of feel safe at night.
Officer in charge of Grand Bahama, ACP Ashton Greenslade, said it was important to encourage people to follow safety protocols.
For the most part, most of the residents comply. They've been in compliance, but it's just that few odd who believe they could skirt around the law. But whenever we find them out, we arrest them and prosecute them.
Greenslade said officers are usually in the community on a weekly basis and will continue that effort as part of their policing plan. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
All right, thanks, Jillian. Still to come, the Christian Council calls for more information on COVID cases. Stay tuned.
On Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Goombay Kids is a show about learning, interacting, and having fun. Goombay Kids has made for kids by kids right here in the Bahamas.
Sit back, here we go, it's a Goombay day.
Goombay Kids!
Bahamans need more detailed information surrounding the spread of COVID-19, according to Bahamas Christian Council President Bishop DELTON FERNANDER, who said the public should not have to ask to be kept more informed. Georgia Bain reports.
With the country now over the 4,000 mark in the number of positive COVID-19 cases, Christian Council President Bishop DELTON FERNANDER is calling for the availability of more information. He said that will be a way that the country can better protect itself in the transmission of the virus.
It should be available. We shouldn't have to prod this stuff. We shouldn't have to pull this stuff. It's our life.
Fernandez said the lack of information makes it difficult for residents to adequately protect themselves.
Anybody can look at the numbers and see that we're surging. I think we need updates to say where are the numbers, are they institutional, are they communal? Sometimes it feels that with the lack of information, we don't know how to prepare, how to conduct ourselves. And until authorities get that knowledge, that the people need to be informed.
St. Barnabas MP Shannon Dawn Cartwright tested positive after a possible exposure at the office of the Prime Minister during the Ministry of Environment press conference last week. Fernando criticized the frequent closure of government offices due to COVID-19 exposure without the necessary information being provided to the public.
If we can see 6 government entities being clean, don't you think we need to know how many people are in these entities are being affected, what families are being affected, so that we can adjust our behavior. Or maybe it might be a lack of clear decision being made, because if you have an entire section that is being infected and you don't tell the country, well, then there's this expectation that it's all clear, it's good, it's all right. And so maybe we can do better in the detailed information.
Fernander lamented that churches are still not being kept abreast of decisions being made concerning COVID-19 orders.
It's here and there. It's helter-skelter. Sometimes we are. Most times it's when our help is needed, when it's carrying of a message. But it has to be consistent. Why I say it has to be consistent? Because parishioners come to our churches, and we can do a better job of spreading the messages.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Georgia Bain.
And that's a look at this portion of news. Stay tuned. Sports is up next.
Catch Gunday Kids on Saturdays at 8:30 a.m. Gunday Kids is a show about learning, interacting, and having fun. Goombay Kids has made for kids, by kids, right here in the Bahamas.
Sit back, here we go, it's a Goombay day.
Goombay Kids!
The Bahamas making a historic move in high school sports. Marcellus Hall has that in sports.
The Bahamas taking a major step in high school sports today at the Courtyard Marriott, becoming the latest to join an international sports federation. We have so much to tell you about that regard. On the anniversary of the Golden Girls' victory some 20 years ago, the Bahamas with another historic moment in local sports history coming today. The announcement coming that the Bahamas will become the newest member of the International School Sports Federation.
History is being made once again in the Bahamas. And I'm a part of that history because in 2000 I was the head coach of the Olympic teams when the Golden Girls won, and it's 20 years now. They have a list of events what's going to happen in 2021, and I'd like to see the well represented from basketball to volleyball to track and field, and especially for chess was out the gate.
Chess will be the first sport contested, which has chess president Elton Joseph pretty excited.
Chess is a sport that age is just basically a number. Basically, if the kids get strong enough, they can compete at the highest tournament, which is the World Chess Olympiad. So we've had a lot of tournaments online. Recently, we attended the online World Chess Olympiad. Unfortunately, this occurred during Hurricane Isaias, and we lost a lot of power outages. So we're hoping for a better outcome for this next tournament.
TSSA President Varel Davis also looking forward to competition once again.
Our kids need more opportunities, and because of this, more doors will be open for them. And I'm proud and happy to be a part of this. Me being one of the head coach for the Bahamas national team as well, I always tell my kids, use your talent to get you through the world and get you to see the world. So I'm happy, and I'm going to go back to my members, have a meeting today, and try to get the most of our kids involved in this opportunity.
So with the first step taken, it seems as if the Bahamas is well on its way to becoming a major player, not only locally, but in international sports as well. Reporting for Our News, I'm Marcellus Hall.
And that's a look at news. We throw it back to meteorologist Greg Thompson for the extended weather forecast.
Thanks again, Kyle. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your second look at weather. On our satellite, pair of systems moving in our general vicinity, tropical waves to the south, generating some showers and thunderstorms across the southeast and central Bahamas. We also have a frontal boundary that's expected getting to the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow, and that should generate a couple of showers across that area. Your boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the southeast to south, 10 to 15 knots. Seas running 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. While in the southeast Bahamas, caution flag posted for you guys. East to southeast winds 15 to 20 knots. Seas running 4 to 6 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. And now a look at your extended forecast through Monday. That's a look at our weather. Have a safe night, everyone.
Before we sign off, we are making some changes here at Our News. Beginning October 1st, Our News will air at 7:30 p.m. and 11:30 p.m. only. Our 10 p.m. rebroadcast will be discontinued. Well, thank you for joining us for Our News tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Kyle Joaquin. Remember, you can catch Our News on the Go, the RevGo Play app. Have a good Wednesday evening, Bahamas.